Hello and welcome to tonight's show.
Hello and welcome to episode 169 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers by scale modelers, all about scale models. And this episode is being brought to you by our latest Patreon supporter, Phil Newman. Hello, Newman. We'd like to thank Phil for coming along and joining the team, and you too can help support the show, just like Phil, by going to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from $1 per month upwards. Your contributions help with our hosting and production costs and are greatly appreciated by the team. So let's get on with the show. We have in the studio Ian.
G'day, Dave. G'day, everyone.
Julian.
Good morning.
And we have a very special guest, Clayton Ockerby.
Yeah.
Round of applause.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All the way down from New South Wales.
Yes.
Not ACT like we said on the end of our
right.
last show. Sorry, mate.
Oh, no, all good. Yeah, I certainly didn't take any offence to that. But no, I've made the trip down and, excited to be here.
Very, very good. Clayton, just educate the audience. Who are you? What are you? What do you do?
Okay. I guess my latest thing that I'm doing at the moment is the YouTube channel, Workbench Hobbies. I've been doing that for about 5 months now. It's something I've been wanting to do for probably the last decade, but finally found the courage and the confidence or something to put myself in front of the camera and actually have a go. But look, I've been reviewing for the modelling news for probably, I don't know, maybe eight or 9 years, which has been good. Writing for a few of the magazines. Model Military International is probably the most prolific one that I've been writing for. What else? Got the website. I used to do the paint mask sets and things through the website. And when I say used to do, I guess I still do that. But it's kind of been a little bit neglected. But hopefully, I hope to resurrect that, once this YouTube channel... All my focus is on this YouTube channel at the moment and just trying to grow the community there and connect with people and, present something of value with any luck.
And that's Workbench Hobbies on YouTube.
That's the one.
Yeah. And you got some great content in there. Just looking very through, you're having a look at the Custer? Machine Krieger Custer.
That one, that went up last night. So I'm kind of, I'm still doing the reviews for the modelling news and whatnot, but now I'm kind of putting the video together with it as well. I've done a few build series, from start to finish of construction, the painting, the weathering, 3-part type series. And I've committed to doing once every fortnight, putting a video up. But man, I say that, but I'm actually doing it every week at the moment. But I'm quite obsessive with trying to grow this thing and create something that I'm proud of. So I've been pushing every week, but man, it takes so much time. It's such a commitment, but it's good. I'm loving it. I'm loving watching it grow. I'm loving watching, the views go up and people reaching out and commenting. I mean, you guys would know what it's like. It's really rewarding.
And doing a video, your YouTube is a lot harder than doing a podcast because you've got a lot more editing involved and all that sort of stuff as well.
I kind of tried to run the numbers of the time that I'm spending on this thing. I'm really lucky because my wife is really supporting this and is behind it. So I reckon to edit 1 minute of video takes me about 45 minutes.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
1 minute of video, 45 minutes.
That's not the building.
Wow.
That's the editing and putting it together. I'm not sure how many of those things you've watched, but I try to put a little bit of humour in them as well, and the overlays, and I probably was going a little bit too hard on that at the start, and but it keeps it interesting for me. I like to have a bit of fun with it, and It's extremely time consuming though.
Yep. Yeah, I've done some video editing and it is extremely time consuming.
very much so. But I'm actually getting better with the content that I'm recording, because I found at the start you literally push record on the camera and start building, right? And you end up with, an hour and a half of footage. Man, that was crazy. and when I first started, I had 2 cameras, and then trying to pair up the footage from the 2 cameras and then work out what was usable, what wasn't, what was in focus. I mean,
you're just browsing through hours of footage looking for a minute's worth of
madness. And so now I'm getting smarter with when I hit the record button. Okay, this will make a good thing. Record for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Stop, and then we're
I understand,
good to go.
Yeah.
And you're good mates with the guys who do Totally Tank podcast as well.
Yeah, but that was sort of how this all started. Was I was trying to encourage, obviously, people to get into the hobby and build. And I met up with them up at Armourfest last year. I was Armourfest up in Cairns,
which we're still to get to.
Yeah,
man, I've got to tell you that is just awesome. Yeah. It's really worth the trip. I'm an armour tragic, so for me it was a no-brainer. I've been wanting to go there for ages.
I'm actually looking forward to their next restoration.
That's a grant, isn't it?
No, Panhard.
Panhard.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they've just finished the grant.
Yeah.
Oh, they've just finished. I knew that was kind of on the list. So,
which was really interesting because I didn't realise the Aussie grants had the anti-grenade mesh.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it looks like a school fence, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
It's such a great place, though. And, so I connected up with the Totally Tank podcast guys. And, of course, everyone I meet, I try to get into scale modelling.
Yeah.
And, they were talking about maybe running, like a group build on their podcast. So I thought it was a good opportunity to maybe help some beginner people. So that's kind of where this started. I put my first video was, like a few tips. Yeah, a few tips. So I figured that was, would be of value to some people, getting into the thing. And then, I just kind of used that as a bit of a launch pad and then, built.
And it just snowballed, didn't it?
Well, I mean, look, we're 5 months in. Snowball's probably a little overstating it, but no, it's a lot of fun, and just like I said, just connecting with people and whatnot. It's awesome, and I can feel the momentum building with this, and it's I'm loving it, loving every minute of it.
No, it's super cool, and you got a great mix of stuff on there. So, from dirt and dust and everything else to actual model builds. Another one there, you got modelling questions you're afraid to ask.
Yeah, that one hasn't been so popular. I was a little bit surprised at that. So
that surprises me as well.
I'm encouraging people to write in and ask me, some of the questions. It's one of the things I find really frustrating about Facebook and stuff like that is when people ask for advice on how to do something, and then all of a sudden you'll get 20 different answers, and then the people giving 20 answers will start
arguing amongst themselves.
It's like, oh my God, this poor bloke that's
must be so confused as to what the right path to take is. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that what I'm saying is right, but success leaves tracks. So if for the beginner modeler or anyone looking for advice, find somebody's work that you want to emulate and just do what they do, right? And
that's it.
Yeah,
that's exactly how it works. You find someone who's got the formula down, you copy their formula.
That's life.
And then you can modify it, right?
That works in business, works in sport, works in hobbies, that just works. And then just consistently do stuff and you'll improve.
Yep.
So that's what I was hoping, with this channel was I could be a place where someone could get, good advice, consistent advice. That worked for them, and they could interact with me as well. Ask me the questions, and then if we get enough questions being asked, then I'll put another video together. And you can guarantee if someone's asking, the question, someone else will want to know the answer.
Yeah.
So, of course, yeah.
That's my hope for the channel.
And you're a prolific builder as well, and quite an accomplished builder at that. So, I mean, you churn out. How many models would you do a year?
Well, this is really slowing me down. But yeah, look, in past years, maybe 12, 14, 15.
Jeez.
But like I because I was writing for the magazine, because I was writing for the modelling news, doing a few commission builds here and there, and I'm just efficient with how I do it. But I'm lucky because my wife is so supportive. So she's kind of it's okay, so I don't feel so guilty.
Like you're neglecting it.
And like the kids, my youngest is just doing the HSC now, so that's doesn't take up my time
Yep.
like it used to. But yeah, look, I'll always have 2 or 3, on the go at any one time. So, but doing the videos has obviously made that a lot more difficult.
Sure.
So yeah, you will find that my output won't be as high as it was before because I just when you do the stuff for the magazines or you do the stuff for the modelling news, like it's easy just to do all the sub-assemblies, take a photo, sub-assemblies, paint, then you can take 2 or 3 photos,
Yep.
But doing the video, everything has to be, as it's coming off the production
Yes,
line, if you
yes,
like,
yes.
yeah.
I'm still blown away. 1 minute, 45 minutes for every minute of video. Oh, wow.
Oh, that's actually conservative, yeah.
Yeah, geez, I imagine that's me trying to do that with a podcast.
But look, I take pride in trying to present something that's,
Yep.
polished. I
Yep.
mean, and this whole YouTube thing has just been a complete new learning curve for me. Like how the camera works, photography works, how the editing software works. What goes into making a good thumbnail, and like I sort of get obsessed with the the learning side of things. So yeah, that's been fun. Yeah, because you don't get to learn new stuff. When you hit sort of 50.
Yeah,
usually
right.
you're
Set in your ways by then.
Yeah, pretty much.
And when you do learn something new at our age, it's painful.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm lucky because I've got a background in I've got a signage business, and I've got a background in the graphic design and whatnot. So there's a lot of crossovers, in terms of hotkeys on computers and terms, like layerings and overlays and grouping things, and so I kind of had a little bit of a head start.
What software do you use to do your videos editing on?
Final Cut Pro.
Okay.
Which is $500. Unbelievably good value. If anyone is considering doing videos, Final Cut Pro. I mean, on the Mac you get iMovie, I think, and that's free.
Yes.
That's crazy good.
Yeah.
Crazy good. And Final Cut Pro is like, well, it's not even iMovie on steroids. It's on a completely different plane. It's so powerful, so powerful.
Well, we're still running this on GarageBand.
GarageBand. That's another great program. This is a lot of recording on GarageBand. So GarageBand is great.
I tried looking at Audacity and just didn't work for me. I just couldn't figure it. So and this just because I started on this and it's still simple and easy to use. And off we go.
No, nothing wrong with GarageBand. It's great.
No.
Well, usually between like 2 different software of the same, that does the same job, they have to do things differently with the layouts and things like that. Otherwise, they start suing each other.
Yes.
Oh, that's a point. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Guess so.
So it's never easy to go sideways from one program to another. They make it difficult on purpose.
Well, the good thing with Apple with the iMovie and Final Cut Pro is they're both Apple products. So anything I was starting to do in iMovie pretty much just went straight across into Final Cut.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right.
So anyone considering doing it, I'd really encourage it because it's very user friendly.
And what sort of cameras do you use?
I upgraded the camera to start doing this. It's a Sony A7C. For whatever that means, it's like it's like a mirrorless full frame, thing with a 90mm macro lens, and I've got like a similar setup to you guys have got here with the with the arms and whatnot, and I can move the camera around and get it over and get it under, and we got a couple of floodlights and things. I'll take a photo of the setup and
do so. Yeah, be keen to see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but look, I mean, you know what it's like with the studio. You're just constantly evolving and improving things, and so. Yeah, it's just constantly evolving.
Super cool. So you mentioned that you do a lot of work for the modelling news. Is that still continuing on? Or is that slowed down because of? No. I'm still doing a lot with the modelling news, and he's actually been a real supporter of mine over the years. And I mean, we're quite good mates. Well, we're good mates. It's not quite good mates. It's so he's actually So that Custer is a review for the modelling news. Yep.
I think I did another one. Yeah. Anyway, no, but look, we're still. He's sharing my work, and I'm still writing for him, and so it's been a good leg up for me. Really.
The modelling news is a great little website. To see what's coming up in the world. And all the new stuff coming through. Fantastic.
He invests so much time in that. It's nuts how much time Adam puts into that.
Yeah.
It's a great site, though. It's a great site, and he does it was doing it for a long time for just love. you know. But yeah, we've connected with a lot of people through that site as well, and it amazes me, like, people make contact with me, saying, "Oh, I've been reading your stuff on the modelling news for years and years, and you got me back into the hobby, or I bought that kit because of you." And yeah, it
Makes you feel good.
it really does. It's like what you were sharing with me before about the people coming to you and saying, you saved my life. I mean, obviously, I don't think I've saved anyone's life through model, but it's true. Just connecting with community is so important, and that's what I want to do through this channel is just help people share their hobby, be proud of it, and connect with community.
Well, that's the thing. You never know who's listening. You never know who's watching, and you never know what impact you're going to have on a single individual.
Definitely.
And, if we've had an impact on one single individual in a positive way, then all these years and time and effort we've put in is worth it in my books.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's all part of the growing the hobby and making us all better and improving.
Yes.
Very cool. We forgot to sort of start with the normal way we start by asking what's happening with you guys. So I might kick off first with Ian. But actually, you know what? Geez, we're so far in. I need to have a quick let Scotty come on, have a quick chat with what he's all about from SMS Paints, and then we'll come back and listen to what you guys have been doing. So we'll be back very shortly.
Hi, I'm Scott, the creator and owner of the Scale Modeler Supply, Australia's largest manufacturer of hobby paints. Our premium airbrush-ready acrylic lacquer paints are designed specifically for use on plastics, with a comprehensive range covering all popular modelling subjects including military, aircraft, rail, auto, sci-fi and more. And not only that, but we also have a wide selection of essential hobby tools and now, Infinite Colour, our new range of water-based paints for miniatures. So to check out our range and to find your closest retailer, please visit our website at scalemodeler.com.au. So when quality matters, choose SMS Paints.
So Ian, what have you been doing since the last show, which was all of 3 days ago?
Yeah, well, I'm doing a commission build for my neighbour at the moment. So,
Still?
Yep. Out of box, 350 scale USS Missouri Circia 1991 Gulf War fit out. As of yesterday, I'm now 80% painted. And I spent 3 days masking for about 20 minutes worth of painting. Which is
welcome to the world of ship model.
Yeah, especially when you're putting it out of box and you're not like using aftermarket wooden decks and that you got to mask everything. And I didn't forgot how many different colours there were just on the deck of the Missouri. There's about 4 or 5 different colours just for the deck, and a lot of masking. So that's all done. Ripped the masking off it late last night, and there's a few little bits where a bit of overspray got underneath the tape, but a few little touch-ups, and hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks it'll be done and I'll be able to collect my money.
Very good. Julian?
Yep, still chipping away at all my various car models. I've spent, I've been slowly chipping away at masking them up for painting chrome around the windows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, each car's a bit different.
Yep.
And so there's for one of them, I was able to just run a piece of tape around the top part of the side window, like the windows on the side of the car. You've got like the chrome bits, and they're actually around the windows. They're actually black, but there's a small like chrome trim. The acts as the thing so when rain gets on top of the car.
Oh, the gutter
trim.
Yeah, the gutter thing. Yeah. So that when you step in, it doesn't pour all over your head.
Yeah.
That bit there is just a chrome line, and I ran tape over the top of it. That's all good. But on the underside, I've got to mask that up so that it doesn't get painted because it's black.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And I thought, there's not any actual sort of surface that you can actually put tape onto really there.
All right.
Because it's just a tiny step, So instead what I did is I just cut out a piece. I put a piece of paper to the side of it, and then from the inside of the car, I just used a pencil to sort of run it along the A-pillar and the window, the roof line, and use that as a way to make a paper mask that just slipped up in there from the outside.
Yeah, that worked.
Yeah, it works well enough. I mean, it's held on with some tape from the inside and things like that. But
as long as it works.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes out sloppy, I can always just sort of brush paint some black on the inside afterwards and tidy that up. It's more important that where it actually meets the actual paint job of the car.
Yeah.
That part be clean. I can always touch up like rubber type stuff.
Yeah, that's
easy.
It's easy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Other than that, I've been looking at lots of stuff on Instagram lately.
More car stuff, or?
There's lots of people who are doing like AI generated art.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I don't get it.
Well, so there's like a AI out there, and you just type in a bunch of words, and then it spits out an image.
Yeah,
well, it's technically it spits out 4 images, and then you sort of pick one, and then you can have it sort of scaled up, and it'll just go, okay, well, you want a bigger one of that? Okay, I can do that. And
Still don't get it.
All right, so let's say you type in muscle car, yellow.
Yeah, I understand the process.
It'll create 7 muscle cars, and they'll not look like they'll sort of draw from elements of muscle cars that you're familiar with, but it won't actually look like any car that you know. It's just generating it however you want. And if you add the word race car, then it starts doing them with liveries and all the sort of race car type stuff that you normally see, like
sounds like
tube
the Homer
frames
Simpson, the car he invented.
The Homer.
Yeah. Imagine that you've got like an art assistant. You say, I want, and you just give him a few keywords, and he just goes off and he comes back with four designs. And then you can sort of add extra words to it, and it'll just keep on refining it any way you want it to.
So here's a question. So I get this AI to produce an image for me, and other people really like that image. I then can sell that image because I've got the IP for it.
I'm not sure who would.
See,
I'm not sure what.
I don't know.
Well, it's just generated, so it doesn't have any real value except for inspiration. So people will just like make these things and throw them up on Instagram. It's like, oh, that's a cool looking car, and I look at them and I'll go, yeah, I would kind of that's a cool enough looking car that I would consider building that as a kit, if there was a kit. But obviously there is no kit. But maybe I will, at some point, get into scratch building and at least build part of it.
Well, poke me in the eye and call me an old fuddy-duddy. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Well, I can show you examples later if you want. But, like, for example, people use it to do, like, science fiction backdrops and things like that. And there are small, problems, like, for example, wherever it tries to make text, it just makes gibberish text that sort of looks like it should be some language, but it isn't. Because it's got an idea of what words look like, but it doesn't actually know the English language.
Right.
Yeah, I tried it once, but it didn't work for me. All I just typed in was Godzilla in top hat. And it wouldn't even give me an image.
Yeah, you probably did something wrong.
Probably. But I would love to have seen Godzilla in a top hat.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's good for generating ideas because it's just like you don't actually have to sort of sit down and sort of brainstorm and think of something and then draw it with your hand, right? You can just type some stuff in and it goes off and does it.
Yeah.
You can take the lazy way out.
Well, I mean, there's nothing lazy about it. It's just like random number generation. I mean,
It's just taking away creativity, isn't it?
well,
the creative process.
Well, see, the creative. Now you're getting into some deep sort of stuff because, like, how creative is the creative process, right? Because a lot, if you've ever actually done any sort of creative stuff like that, you'll often find, oh crap, I've accidentally copied something that I saw somewhere else and I just forgot that I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's coming from your own brain, right? Your own mind.
I mean, unless you're taking something that exists and you're modifying it in a deliberate sense, right? That's a definite sort of bit of creativity that humans have access to. But when it comes to sort of generating things that we haven't thought of yet, that's difficult. I mean, that's part of why creativity is such an endeavor, right?
This is deep.
Yes.
It is very deep.
It is deep.
And it perhaps is a bit too deep just to ask you what you've been doing on your bench the last couple of weeks.
Yes. Well, I mean, yes, just mostly just looking at things that I would consider building in the future and masking cars.
Sure.
I mean, I've done. I mean, actually, there's been some other stuff like me just touching up, parts of the car that I've mucked up the paint job on, and then putting more clear coat on and then polishing that. And
I think I'll leave the AI discussion to the Sprue Colours Union, because those boys are good at doing deep dives and having deep philosophical.
yeah, I guess.
Philosophical.
Thank you. Philosophical discussions.
Said
on
that in
this sort of
stereo,
stuff.
didn't we?
So this is dangerous. I'm getting to the point where I just sort of skip. My brain skips ahead on what you're trying to say instead of actually picking up on the mistakes you're making.
Dave, maybe you could look at replacing Julian with AI.
Yeah, that's
You could never replace Julian.
It'd be like having Dexter.
No, you could never replace Julian.
Speaking of which, since this is a podcast, I saw a video where someone had taken, famous podcaster Joe Rogan's voice and then generated it with AI. So basically what they do is they just type in what they want him to say and it does it in his voice.
Oh, really?
It's so convincing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
The only thing
It's scary.
it's scary.
That's something for scammers to go, ooh, we're going to use this.
Well, see, you can tell a difference because his cadence doesn't go as deep as you...
For the moment.
Yes, exactly. I mean, but it can only base it off of what's already out there, right? So,
It's improving every day, though.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. But I mean, like, there's also similar type of stuff that they've done with video, but that's the problem.
Living in a matrix,
speaking of which,
man.
so the AI stuff that I was mentioning before for creating images, one of the hard things it always mucks up is human hands. It always ends up like you end up with this massive sausages kind of thing, and
That's why cartoons only have 4 fingers, not 5.
because it's a very difficult thing. I mean, like that's why the classic, when you learn to drawing a human hand is like one of the most difficult things.
Yep. That's why Mickey Mouse only got 4 fingers.
And The Simpsons.
I haven't. Oh,
I'm not touching that.
Clayton, what do you got on your bench at the moment?
Well, I'm lucky enough to have one of the first, I believe, in the country, the Takom Hetzer 35th scale.
Oh.
They've got 3, the early, the medium, and the late Hetzers, full interior. I've got that through the Modelling News. I've done a kit review for that on the channel, and I'm midway through building the interior for that. Gorgeous kit, absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
35th scale?
Yes. Yeah. Look, full interior is going to turn off some people, but it's surprisingly buildable so far. And honestly, there you go. The detail and the moulding, I've never seen anything like it. Mind blowing.
Really nice, isn't it?
Mind blowing.
Prior to this kit's release, what would you have said would be like the best kit to have bought?
Well, the last 2 Takom kits I've built have been mind-blowingly good. That Stug 42, which they marketed as, there you go, there it is, where they marketed it as a blitz kit, whatever blitz kit means, because there was nothing blitz about it. It had, stainless steel armour and etch and so good. I mean, the fit, I have had problems with Takom fit back in the early days. Like, I think their Panther and their Jag Panther was a little bit clunky, but they seem to have got it right. They've got the mix just right. And before that, Stug 42 would have been, they did a dual boxing of Panzer 1s, which are just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And the Lincoln length tracks, they all fit perfectly. And, like a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, a lot of kids, can struggle with that Lincoln length configuration, not quite fitting right. And, they're just such high quality kits. But you wait till you see the moulding in this Hetzer. It's absolutely gorgeous. I just hope it fits together.
It's
well.
quite a big box.
It's a big box, yeah. Well, it's a full interior kit.
Right.
I mean, I know it's only a little subject.
Remember when Edward did it?
It's
a massive box.
Yeah, beautiful kit too.
It's such a small tank, though.
Yeah, there's a few problems with the kit in terms of, I've had a few people reach out to me who are far more knowledgeable with this subject. So little things like those little lugs on the front of where just down down that little nut shouldn't be on there. That was after the war edition. So there's a few little bits and pieces but I'll highlight that when I do the review. But in terms of a kit, man, unbelievable. I'm not sure what the price point's going to be like. I think they're probably going to be around $70, which is
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
$48.97 US from HobbyLink.
So don't I mean, obviously I don't work for Tacom. I get no kickback. No one.
But you like their product.
Oh well, yeah. This is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
You know, of all the sort of armor kits that you could build and then put an interior in, there's not much of an interior in these things, is there?
There's not much of an interior, and you can't see it really.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
hatches are tiny.
That's what I meant.
They used to call these things the rolling coffins, I think, because everyone had to get out of pretty much one hatch, I think, and so. Yes, there's not much of an interior in it to build.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of interior, and that's kind of the problem in that there's not enough for a person.
Unfortunately, it's going to be very difficult to display it. This comes with like a little clear roof that you could do, but I just hate that idea.
Yeah.
So you could do a cutaway or something, but look, I'm just putting the interior together just, so obviously people can see what it looks like and how I go about it. The engine hatches open up to present the engine pretty well. But what you see, I mean, I know that we're looking at it on the screen here, like they're renderings, right? But the model's that good.
Yep.
I just haven't put the two. I mean, look at the detail in that part, which I know is not an ideal thing to say for a podcast. It's not a visual. It's exceptional.
Well, just go to the Modelling News and have a look at the article.
YouTube Workbench Hobbies.
You're right. It does have a lot of really nice detail, but. Like I know for a fact that you won't be able to see like a lot of that.
But that's look,
like especially like I saw that there was like a like a conduit or a cable type thing that goes along the inside of the main
you won't
armored
see it.
that long slanted armored front on it. You can't see that.
Oh, you're not going to see it.
Not unless you like drilled a hole from the underside and looked up through the bottom or something.
And there's a lot of people who just won't bother building the interior. But I think that's going to come down to the price point. And I think the price point.
Well, you reckon they'll bring one out without an interior?
Oh, look, who knows?
The basic kit.
It comes down. It comes down to a lot of cost because like to make two separate boxings. That's a lot of money in itself. It might be easy just to throw it all in one box.
Yeah. Look, you could build this without the interior, and I think if it's going to be around that $65, $70, Australian, obviously it's going to be different all around the world. But you could justify spending that sort of money and not put the interior in it. The assembly and the gun breech is beautiful. Like you get a peek at that. Like you could just build that.
Yep.
It's
Like when it comes to sort of tallying the costs involved in producing a kit, like it would almost be worth it to just do it without an interior, like ship it without, like design the kit to not have an interior, but then add some masks so that people can actually pull off that disc camouflage that everyone finds so challenging.
I'm actually going to produce a few mask sets for these. Unfortunately, the early production version I got doesn't lend itself to being masked up, but the mids and the lates, they used a lot of stencils in the factories. And started doing the ambush schemes and things. So look, the plan is to put some mask sets together for these, showcase them on the video, and then people can buy them from the website.
Idea. Very good idea.
So
once upon a time, because I haven't built that much German armor, because
we can fix that.
Look, I've built a lot of armor. I just don't build like of the German armor that I have built and like to build. I try to stay away from like the tricolor camouflage because it's like it's always a lot of work, working all the three colors. And like I said, I've built a Hetzer.
Yep.
I built the was it the artillery one?
The Italeri, the old Italeri one.
Yeah, at the time it wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Because I think there's like a dragon kit out there that's unobtainium, and
I think that's a command version one,
and it costs a lot of money. And you could walk into almost any shop and buy the
Italeri one.
Yeah, that one. But
Italeri cops so much hate. I actually don't mind them. I find them as like being a good foundation to build on.
Over the full breadth of their entire product catalog, there's a lot of turds. Yeah. But the Hetzer is not one of them.
Like the modelling community.
Well, I won't say that, but I mean, just like the Hetzer, their Hetzer is it's an okay kit. Like you wouldn't you wouldn't build it and go, well, that was a terrible experience. It was just a pretty good. It's got individual. I can't remember if it's got link and length or if it's got individual tracks. But
the little airy one, that'd be rubber band.
No, they're rubber band.
No, it's not.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent kit.
Okay.
And when I was done with it, I was pretty happy with it, and I did all the disc camouflage types because that's what I wanted it to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I want a cool looking angular tank, and I want it to have disc camouflage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great shape, that one.
Yeah,
good palette to work on.
Oh yeah,
that's true. Actually, yeah, that's when you think about
it's just slap sides. It's
what
easy.
armor modelers really like. They like broad, flat surfaces, don't they?
So especially if you want to mask it up. And
when you want to do all the modulation and stuff, people love that sort of stuff.
Definitely, which I love doing. I love painting.
Yes,
Construction is just something I do to get to the paint.
What airbrushes do you use?
My favourite airbrush. Well, I've actually got two, right? So if I swap between paints, so I would predominantly paint with lacquers.
Mm-hmm.
Or acrylic lacquers, SMS,
Yep.
Tamiya, all that sort of stuff. So I actually use the Ammo by MIG airbrush, the Air Cobra, I think it's called. I love it. Yeah, I love the way the cup, sits and it's easy to clean and just seems really bulletproof. But if I swap to an acrylic paint, like to do chipping fluids or, dust or stuff like that, I use the SMS airbrush that I just picked up from a show once, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Or I might have won it. I don't know. But that Ammo by MIG, a lot of people rag on it, but it's just awesome, and it's just if you guys saw my airbrush, you'd laugh at me. It's filthy and
no, so mine's not clean either.
Hey, what are we talking about?
Well, I'm not one of those highbrow modelers that mix it in a separate container and then pour it into my airbrush.
No, all in the cup.
All in the cup,
yeah.
Right, and then. I've gone from using eyedroppers to put the paint and thinners in to just pouring them straight in.
Yeah, I do that too.
And it dribbles down the side of the cup.
Yeah, same.
The only time I do that is when I'm using SMS paints.
No, I still use paints. I can't tolerate big sort of.
So Julie and I are painting efficiently, aren't we? Just keep a box of tissues there.
Time efficient. Yeah, time efficient for sure. Yeah, and if it ever gets too much, like paint and stuff on the side, then when you're actually doing back pressure and stuff to to flush through, I just because I'm painting with lacquers, it'll as soon as you touch lacquer thinners to that paint, it just liquefies and just goes away. You just rub that on the side and then just wipe it away with a paper towel.
The only time I'll ever clean my airbrush is if I'm doing a tight freehand scheme or something that I don't want to overspray. I'll break it all apart, put it through the ultrasonic cleaner, and then
you don't find the need to do you ever feature your airbrush in photos or in video?
Sometimes it sort of makes its way on there,
and then you look at it on the camera and you think, I should probably clean it so that that doesn't look like I'm a complete...
I didn't think that, and now you've pointed it out. It's the only thing I'm going to see now. Let's use this slob.
Look at this derelict.
Maybe I need a new airbrush for the glamour shots.
Oh, you got
That's an idea.
glamour airbrush.
Yeah. That's a good
it's like having a hand model. Yeah.
Actually, there's one thing I noticed on the videos. When my bloody fingernails grow, and and if you've got a bit of dirt under your fingernail, or something,
Yeah, people notice that.
It's like, oh, geez, who's this hobo?
I was going to mention something, but maybe not.
Knock yourself out.
Anyway, so I've got nice airbrushes, so to speak, expensive ones.
Yeah.
But then I spray cars, right? And, my first expensive airbrush that I bought, I did it specifically so that I could do demarcation on planes really, really tight without having to break out, paper masks and things like that.
See, I think that's more to do with the thinning of the paint and the pressures and things than the airbrush. I know some airbrushes perform better than others, but I find the thinning of the paint and how you're mixing the paint and stuff has more of a bearing on how successful that is.
Well, I was thinning properly, But what I came up against was that the tolerances and stuff in the airbrush, like with the trigger action, right, was such that I couldn't spray small enough without it just like the point where you go from off to the most minimal amount of paint coming out was the machining tolerances and things were loose. It was all sort of loose and everything it was like nothing, too much.
Like my personality.
That's a good one. But yeah, with if you got one of those sort of like the custom micron era, you know, there's 0.5, 0.18, 0.15, 0.18, all that sort of 0.2.
I guess that's what I was talking about. The difference between 0.2 and 0.3, I think is you know, if you know how to use it and know how to thin your paint, I can get fine stuff with that 0.3, you know. But it's all practice, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, Julian, seeing you got the microphone, let's put it over to you to have a chat about the new Mooseroo Cup, which, of course, you're going to be building this year for the podcasts.
Okay, so it's a ICM, 72nd scale, one of those Russian military trucks in Ukraine service, Ural 4320. Yeah, one of those great big military trucks with the... You know, that they look like a regular truck until you get up close to them and you're like, oh, that thing's the size of a building.
And what are the rules this year?
And the rules are that I can build this any way I want, basically. It literally says, the provided kit can be built any way you like. Out of box, upgrades, conversions, modifications, changes to paint schemes and markings, as long as the vehicle itself is identifiable in the final presentation. I can load it up with stowage, put it on a base, or even add a figure or two if I so choose.
Jeez, that's a lot easier than last year. Last year was built out of the box and no changes. Especially those freaking wheels.
I mean, so it's a Russian military truck, right? So if you were to build it out of box, you wouldn't end up with much because it's just a Russian truck. So I think the reason why they've done the rules this way is because they want to see what you can do with a plain canvas, so to speak.
Hover truck.
Yes.
No, I can't. Because like it still has to be identifiable as the truck.
That's all right. Always just put hover things instead of the wheels.
Just type that into your AI generator.
Yeah, hover truck.
I could
get some ideas.
I could do that.
That could be a good challenge.
But I mean, what I'm hoping for is that someone who's in charge listens to this podcast and goes, "Oh, is that what Julian's thinking of doing?" Yeah, no, or yes, you know, gives me a yes or a no answer on
for
that.
The hover truck.
Oh, for going that far, right. Because I mean,
knock yourself out.
Can I
representing the country?
Are you an official? Are you?
Okay, that's it.
I'm gonna take that as a no, just to be safe.
No. Well, you can go as far as you want with it. And don't forget, this time round, we've actually got a Mooseroo Cup Facebook page set up so that people can follow along with the build. And what's really been cool is that people have actually said, I might even purchase that kit and build along with you. Or indeed, they're going to do a Ukrainian subject as well. So it's on Facebook, don't forget. It's Mooseroo Cup. So go along and check that out.
Definitely.
I'm happy to do a mask set for you.
Hello Kitty on the bonnet.
Look, given the choice, I probably won't build this in the formal, you know, this is a truck and it's in the mud kind of sense, because that's not what I'm really good at. You know, I don't really do diorama bases, and I'm not that good at, you know, throwing on weathering and mud. I just don't have enough practice in it. I mean, it's all just about reps. You know, the more repetitions you do, the better you get at it, the better.
Yeah. Perfect opportunity. Use this one for your test bed.
Yeah, but I don't. That's just.
We want to win, Clayton. So no.
I want to take this kid to the top, Dave.
To the top of what? I mean, like I don't know. Just that kind of you know, sort of style just doesn't gel with what my interests are in the moment. Like I said, my interest at the moment are cars.
Well, build it in
right?
car style.
Yeah, but like, who builds a glossy army tank? You know.
Julian, sure you'll be able to sort something out one way or another, so we'll look forward to what you come up with. All right, time for a quick break, and then we'll be coming back with looking at what's in the mailbag, and it's a big one this fortnight. Back shortly.
Hey everyone, it's Chris at Inside the Armour Publications. I'd like to tell you about what I've got going on at ITA pubs right now. First, I've got a huge restock from Tetra models, including the Coyote TSV, Jackal 2 and M1278 Heavy Guns Carrier PE sets. The Akagi PE set for the 1700 Hasegawa kit is back in stock. I've got new stuff coming from Wingsy kits, including a restock of their ever popular BF109s. And also I've still got plenty of copies of Models for Ukraine Volume 2. Please do buy that if you would like to help with humanitarian aid for Ukraine. In addition, I've also got the F4, 148 and 172nd decal sets for 13th TFS at Udon Air Force Base in the late 60s, which are fantastic for your 172nd or 148 Phantoms. So head on over to InsideTheArmour.com or check out ITA discounts on eBay to find out more about these great products and how you can get your hands on them.
All right, and hello, welcome back to the show. Let's have a look at our mailbag, which is huge and full of lots of interesting discussions and topics that everybody's written in on. Of course, don't forget you too can write in. Just simply send your email to onthebench64@gmail.com. The first one comes from our good mate, Brad Belsham. Really enjoyed the podcast that just dropped. I must say, having attended the Hamilton show this year, that the spirit of IPMS Canada is totally different to that of the US clubs. I was asked by a Canadian modeller who I know to judge along with... you haven't written too well there. We judged armour and surprised the way we looked at it was the opposite way that we do it in the US. What I mean by that is we as judges were told to look at this category, pick the top 5 and then let's discuss. Pretty much every time we'd come up with the same 5, then we'd weed out 2 of them and would stack rank the 3 that were left. In the US, it's find the errors first, even if it's the best model on the table. Similar result, but completely different approach. And I have to say, we gave some first builds that would have been fails in the US. Final thought, IPMS always looks for ways that things can't be done instead of ways that they might be done. In judging an organisation, Hamilton judged 1,000 models with people looking over your shoulder within a few hours. IPMS USA would of course say that can't be done. Some Aussie eye candy also that he's included in the email us, which is an Australian 72nd scale Centurion from the Vietnam War era.
That's on my build list, that one. I got that one.
Oh, have you?
Gorgeous kit.
I've got the armour one. Sorry, the...
AFV club.
AFV club.
Yeah, that Vespid Models is a 72nd scale one though.
Next one comes from Eugene. Thanks to Dave, Ian and Julian. Thanks for correctly pronouncing my last name. Thanks for the tips from all about cockpit detailing on 1350 scale aircraft as well. And a lot of questions about 1350 scale ships in that podcast. My humble opinion, an excellent wood deck overlay from Scale Deck is super thin. And that's from Eugene Suter. Now, probably going to get that wrong now, Eugene.
Yeah.
From the McKinstry chapter in Arlington Heights, Illinois. Thanks very much, mate.
Yes, speaking of wooden decks, remember we were discussing how wooden decks will, when you put a wooden
the height thing?
Yeah. One of our listeners got back to me and said, well, the easy way around that is where the lip of the actual hull is, where you sit the deck on, is just scrape that down in 0.5 mil.
Oh, wow.
So when you glue your plastic deck on, it actually sits a bit lower, so when you put your wooden deck on top, it's nice and flush. And it's like, yeah, that's a sensible, smart way of thinking it.
Mm-hmm. Got an email from Paul Pudzik, aimed at Julian. The sports analogy, just judge the result, falls apart. So if you use steroids, that's okay, ? Think 3D printing as being the steroids. Computer people are considered knowledge workers. A physical builder, whether it be carpenter or jeweler, are skilled workers. It's a nuance that is lost on those that lack a historical perspective. The current trend of equivation and rationalisation.
Equivocation.
Thank you, Julian.
And rationalization.
I said rationalisation.
Oh, did you?
I
Okay.
think. Anyway.
I'm just trying to spell the words out in my head as well. Pronounce them.
Well, I just threw the sports analogy out there.
Yeah.
Because there was a discussion going on, and if you go to any model show, you know that there's just so many different categories. You've got scratch built only categories. You've got all the regular categories, different scales. You look how many trophies there are, and then some of the categories there's only like a couple of entries in. I mean, it depends on the show. I mean, if you go to US Nationals, there's plenty of entries per category.
I didn't notice that. There's so many.
But then you see the award ceremony, you're just sitting there for hours as they just rattle off,
It's like trying to watch the Brownlow medal.
I mean,
what's that?
What do you guys do? The Dally medal? Or the Dally
M. Yeah, but look, that's probably not going to happen now over pay disputes and things.
So if you're using the sports analogy and you say that 3D printing is steroids, that's basically saying that 3D printing is cheating, right? Because steroids are cheating.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. I mean, so at least within competition, scratch building, like pure scratch builds, are a completely separate category to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, so you would never judge it with everything else anyway. Most modelers just build kits. That's where most of us are. We're not scratch building. So if you bring in like 3D printed elements onto a regular plastic kit, it's no different to some cast piece of resin. You're just gluing a piece on. Definitely. You buy it off the internet, comes in a little box, you glue it on. Who cares?
Well, a lot of kits are coming with them in them now anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go.
Those Tacom Apaches have got like a little separate box of, all the knicknacks and stuff. Yeah. It's all 3D printed.
Yeah, so as far as like the majority of the modeling community is concerned, it's not. It's just another means to an end,
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. But as far... this is Paul Budzik we're talking about, the scratch building extraordinaire.
Yes.
There's no other name that's more synonymous with scratch building than his. And as far as that it comes as no surprise that someone who has that kind of specialization would see 3D printing as cheating. But I would say that a 3D printer is no different to a lathe or a mill, right?
Different skill set, but
it's still just a machine that produces what you want it to do that you can't produce with your hands, right?
Right.
Like so, for
or
example,
it's going to be a lot quicker and easier to do rather than try and whittle it out with your hands.
Well, I mean, like, remember, he's saying it's cheating, right?
Well,
the 3D printing is cheating. So,
I don't think he was actually saying it's cheating.
Well, he said it's steroids.
It's the same as
steroids are to sport.
Yeah,
and steroids are cheating in sport.
Yeah.
I agree, Julian. I'm with you.
Right. Well, I mean, I think I'm interpreting his words correctly there. But I just don't. I don't think that's the case, because if you say for example, one of Paul Budzik's videos is how he made the diamond tread pattern on those wheels for the Mustang that he built. Remember, and he had like this elaborate way that he had like the mill set up to properly machine those, but you could never get that level of accuracy and precision just sitting there with a lump of plastic or whatever material you care to use and a file. You couldn't do it. You could get close, but it would look like it was handmade rather than have the machine of something that's manufactured. And that's what you're doing. You're using a manufacturing method to create something that looks like it's been manufactured.
Yeah.
Right? And the 3D printing just does it a different way. I mean, people who work in machining anyway, they don't see 3D printing as some dark thing that taking away from what they're doing. They just call it additive machining.
Right. I see, yep.
Interesting discussion. Thanks, Paul, for writing in. Really appreciate it. And no doubt we'll probably get another email from you now after that discussion. Next one comes from Cameron Schmidt, who writes, "Hi guys, long time listener now. Not in a club as such yet, but certainly looking into it. Have been back building for about 12 months or so now and listen to your episodes while at the bench. While not all topics interest me, I still find them engaging and something to listen to. Your guest Peter from ACT SMS last episode was a natural on the mic and sounds a bit younger than most of us." He is younger than all of us sitting around the table here. "Passionate and committed with trying to do what is best for the hobby in Australia. It's very comforting to hear. Definitely needs support for his effort, and I will definitely be looking into making the trip from South Australia to support his club's events. I hope also that others can do the same. While I haven't entered a competition before, hearing the conversation about the different systems in America was interesting still. I like the idea of beginners category in ACT, so that's another reason why I want to travel and see what the show is all about. Thanks, keep up the good work, and hope to hear many more episodes, Cameron."
Sure will.
Well, Cameron, thanks for that. And don't forget, of course, there is a model show coming up in your backyard, and it's an opportune time to mention it. So it's a South Australian Scale Model Show, which is on the 7th and 9th of October. So go to their website and check that out. And the show that you just mentioned in the ACT, which is coming up in November, 11th and 12th, is, of course, the 2023 Scale ACT. So I look forward to seeing you at both of those shows, Cameron, because I'm going to both of them.
Yep.
And hope to see you actually enter a model as well, which would be super
definitely.
Pete's doing amazing things with that show and that club. He's such a good guy. He's a good mate of mine. And I've been roped into doing a demo there.
Have you?
That's something that they're doing at this show that I don't think has been
they
done
did it last
very
time.
well, like in this country, at least from my experience. But he's actually like assembling a lineup of modelers to do demos that like a broad skill set and broad range, you know.
Yes.
That will add value to people. So I would encourage anyone who's interested in expanding their skills or learning new things or just being part of just a really welcoming, friendly community to consider that show. It's a ripper.
You know, one thing that I've noticed is that the difference between like our model shows and say, for example, the mini gaming community is that they do workshops, really like almost, you know, like a class where the teacher actually comes around and looks at your work and corrects what you're doing, kind of thing. And you know, something as difficult as painting figures, I just wish we had something like that locally.
It just adds so much value, doesn't it? That face-to-face and hands-on, and so I really encourage and support that initiative because I think it's going to be awesome.
Yep, 100%. And what ACT are doing, the club up there, is just, you know, stellar work. And we're really excited about this year's competition. I can't wait to get up there.
Definitely.
So really looking forward to it. Next one comes from a good mate, Timothy Holland, who writes, "Great episode, guys. At PAXCon, we wrestled with weather and how to provide feedback and ultimately settled on the post-it note idea as a trade-off in time and details." What Tim's talking about there is for their show at PAXCon they're running. They've actually got like a little post-it note, and it's got like little boxes, and it'll say seams, glue mark, or paint or something like that, and the judge will just tick to indicate what the actual issue was. It sort of knocked it out.
Yes.
Simply put, we believe something is better than nothing. We don't purport to use AMP's method of feedback, but just want something to give the modeler focus on as they work on improving their models. The judges will be available for specifics if contestants desire, just like any other IPMS show or contest. To be fair, very few modelers actually ask judges for feedback. We will be making announcements during our show to ensure that modelers know what to expect. Frankly, if the judges get swamped with detailed feedback requests, then that's a good thing because it means the modelers want it. Ultimately, if this idea doesn't work, we may, of course, drop it in the future. And to quote Henry Ford, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got.
If you're asking for feedback, you need to be prepared to accept it as well.
Yes.
Oh, 100%.
I find that's a bit of a challenge. And it's something we don't do in this country with shows is have people giving qualified feedback, you know.
Yep.
It's a tough one because we've got a small pool, right? And, you know, just asking people to volunteer and
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we've got a small pool. I mean, we've got, by per capita, I think, just as large as any other sort of place around the world. But it's always tough getting people to put their hand up.
Well, I guess that's what I mean about
like
the small pool. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's fair enough. Andy Roche writes in. Sure have. We're talking about his younger son just did a Lego version of a submarine that he picked up at the Maritime Museum when they toured the sub, and he's taking this as a sign that we also need to make the trip as well. So thanks very much for that. Of course, there's nothing wrong with Legos either, is there? Oh, hang on.
Dude, you can hear a pin drop, can't you?
Yeah,
of course
can.
there's nothing wrong with it, do you? No,
Look,
absolutely.
That was my gateway drug.
Of course.
Yeah.
I did a lot of Lego as a kid.
So did I. I reckon Lego
lot.
is, and you're still the only difference between what we build and Legos is that you don't necessarily have you don't have to paint and glue because the kit's built.
That's the hobby, right?
Yeah, I
that's
know.
that's 80% of the hobby,
Exactly
though, isn't it?
right.
Look, I think everyone cut their teeth on Lego. The only thing wrong with Lego is the price point these days.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
We should have a chat about Legos at another show. I think that'd be an interesting discussion. Ben Flood writes in, "G'day to the benches. What a great interview in your last episode with US AMPS and IPMS guys explaining the ins and outs of their competitions and how they run. It was so interesting to hear how similar they are in practice with only a few differences when all you hear over the webs now is how dissimilar they are and that we should follow one set of rules or another. One thing I've noticed here in Australia is although none of the major state-held comps strictly follow either factions, we use some aspects to guide the competitions and are generally more liberal with the rules and judging guidelines. Some follow a more IPMS set of guidelines, and some are more closer to the AMP style. For example, Queensland Expo can have multiple silver, gold and bronze in a category, but you don't score on points. And of course, there's somewhere in between, which is WASMEX, first, second and third, but not points based. Having entered and been part of all three shows mentioned at one point or another, I cannot say 100% which is the better system. They all have their awesome merits, as well as areas that falter some aspects of the hobby. It must be said that they do all try their utmost to cater for all." Yeah. I also have to echo the comments from your guests about volunteers. Without them, the shows will disappear. In recent weeks, WASMEX, which is a West Australian show, has announced that this year may be the last show they have due to the 3 long-term committee members retiring, and with no new blood offering to take their place. The Queensland Hobby Expo are also in a similar position next year. These shows don't run themselves; it's committees that make them happen, and a lot of hard work. What I have noticed. There are some smaller competitions starting here in Oz as well, ones that cater for a specific genre. Two that spring to mind are Figures Based, the Crimson Brush, which is held in Canberra in January, and the Guilds in Painting competition in Sydney, which was just held July just past. These are judged by 3 expert painters and do gold, silver and bronze award systems, much like the major figure comps in Europe. I've also heard that other comps are starting up for other genres as well. Is this the future of competitions, he asks. Thanks again for the great episode, guys. Keep up the brilliant work. Love the podcast and look forward to every episode that you produce. Ben Flood.
That sounds an interesting... he's right in that... So, like in the first paragraph, he mentions that they're mostly similar and they have like different areas where they falter.
Mm.
And that was my impression.
Mm.
Like, I mean, you can never please everyone.
No,
of course
and
not.
Yeah.
the thing is, like, what you're arguing about is, like, which part should be discarded.
Yeah.
That's all it is. As for the part at the end where he talks about, like, is this the future, whether you got, like, lots of smaller, specific shows?
Could be.
I mean, they're certainly more nimble and... they don't require as much organisation. You can hold them in smaller venues. They're much more within reach for a small group of people to set up.
Yep. 100%.
So maybe.
Maybe. Paul Pendleton Brown writes in, G'day all, I've just listened to the fascinating podcast discussion between IPMS and AMPS regarding competitions. This subject was the final motivation I needed to write this, and I think it will almost take an episode of its own. So what is IPMS? Please allow me to expand before being subjected to the wrath of listeners starting shouting at the audio devices. Let's take the name, logically starting with I for international. Other than multiple countries having their own capable groups or clubs, United Kingdom, motherland, has to come first, lol. Australia, USA, to name only a few. But other than members paying visits to other nations' nationals, and in the case of the UK, some nations visiting Telford for the British nationals, what do the grassroots members get from being part of an international organisation? Do they get access to others' national magazines? Other than the occasional articles shared? Nope. You have to join the other nationals' IPMS to get such access. So, other than competition judging guidelines from the Dark Ages, which does not like realistic weathering, where does the international component of IPMS name stand these days? In these days of information technology, it's beyond the wit if man to have an international website that all nations and members can access. The Scalemates website is a classic example of something IPMS should have come up with rather than an independent, and thank the Lord he did that. There are so many other international aspects, or more to the point of taking over the whole podcast, but let's move into the P side of stuff. Plastic, some resent IPMS competitions they have excluded out of the box builds of Edward kits as they contain photo etch. Is the term plastic now a historical context? Can AFV builders enter models with brass barrels and white metal tracks and photo etch details? Admittedly now a lot of 3D printing is replacing historic add-ons, but where is the welcome in IPMS, and is this keeping people from joining their local chapters as they don't use just plastic these days? The M&S of the title is probably acceptable, although I'm not sure at all. So IPMS, historical dinosaur, or is it time to be reinvented and brought up to date? The example of the IPMS USA president recently dropping the ball and not understanding social media is a classic example of why things need to change. I have no axe to grind with any particular IPMS branch or chapter, just the outdated premise that it seemed to be misguidedly hanging onto. Good luck with this one. Pull the pin and hand grenade launched. I look forward to hearing the outcome of this one. I feel I might have to run for a bit. Best wishes, Paul. And please, everybody, direct your emails back to Paul Pendleton Brown. We read the emails, but don't necessarily share all of the thoughts of our contributors. Although he does raise a couple of really good points there.
Makes
as well.
An interesting point, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, that's the second time
that Julian has dropped the coffee cup.
Yes. I think he's trying to sell us something.
Well, it's not my fault. It's because the cord's quite tight over at this end of the table.
Which cord is tight?
For the microphone.
Oh, okay.
So when you move the mic arm around, it can catch on things. I quite like the point that he made about the international thing.
Definitely.
Definitely the various IPMS, USA and Britain and all the other countries. They're all fairly separated. They don't actually do that much connection between them.
I don't know.
At least on the internet, they should at least be a coordinated, unified system, right?
There may be behind the scenes stuff that we don't see at their executive level, but certainly there is always room for improvement with any organisation.
And I think having access to for us in Australia, having access to IPMS USA, IPMS UK, IPMS Philippines, if we had access to that, go to one website that gives you access to all that, would be freaking awesome. Because there's so much stuff that we don't see. Even though, yes, we are on the internet and there's a ton of stuff that's viewable, but if you don't know anyone in IPMS the Philippines. Like some of those guys are freaking insane builders.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's not just
painters.
that, it's Malaysia.
Yeah,
you know.
and we don't. And yes, we know they're there, but we don't have really much contact with them.
Korea and
which is a
Japan,
real
some
shame.
fantastic
Yeah.
builders out there that unless you're on Instagram, it's no way you'd sort of know about them.
That's right. And whereas if you had it like as one governing body for the whole world, but geez, who's going to end up with that job?
I think
Yeah.
Facebook's sort of become the governing body
It
almost
has,
for that
yeah.
because I mean, I think IPMS New South Wales has got like I think 1,000 members, you know, like on the Facebook page. So people are sharing ideas, you know,
Yeah.
from IPMS, you know, Smithsville or whatever, you know, all around the place. So I think that's how. You know, things are migrating that way rather than one, you know, governing
One
body.
ring to rule them all.
How cool would it be if like the winners from various categories in different national competitions went into a international level competition
What, the Olympics?
that was held only online? You know?
That wouldn't be that hard to facilitate and set that up. That does just a few emails. Yeah. So there you go. There's a little project for you, Julian.
But yeah, but this is the kind of thing that
Dropped
should
him
be
in it.
organised by IPMS at the highest level.
True. Yep. Yeah, you make a really good point. Yeah. Yeah, but that wouldn't be that hard to do. I think doing one centralised website and all that sort of stuff, like I can see
that's
that being
all I'm
difficult.
thinking of.
Yeah,
like to be clear, it's like at least on the internet there should be like a centralised website where you should be able to like scroll through a forum and go, okay, here's IPMS USA, here's IPMS UK,
Okay, yeah,
and then you
yeah.
can link across to other parts of the site and go, hey, check out what the guys in IPMS Antarctica are
you
building.
you don't think that's happening on Facebook already? Like that kind
Not
of
enough. No,
Well,
we're
okay,
close to enough.
But it is happening. Like I
Occasionally,
definitely know.
something will escape the little bubble of their country, and everyone goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, they've actually got a thriving model community. Who would have known?"
Yes, I know IPMS New South Wales have like all you know, like people from Asian countries and stuff, you know, contributing and Europe and whatnot.
To their
So-
magazine, yeah.
Oh, not to the magazine,
to
but
their-
just
to
look.
their
You have to
Facebook
be,
page,
yeah, Facebook. But
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you have
yeah,
to be
yeah.
a financial member. That's how people, you know, pay their dues, right? Because they're getting something for when they pay. They get to
Yeah.
go to the club and they get
Yeah.
a copy of the magazine. And I think they used to do like just they used to do a postal member where the magazine will get posted out.
Yes.
But you know, I mean, I'm sure we could work out something that was like $10 a year, and you got access to the PDF newsletter or whatever. And anyway,
My frustrations with Facebook is that, unlike the old forums that you used to go to, which are still there obviously, but I think they're slowly dying off, you don't get the level of detail and that you can drill into like you. Whereas Facebook's a bit too sort of instantaneous, bang, 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 and
Definitely.
and then the discussion moves on too quickly, and to hunt for something on Facebook is just the search function is hopeless.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of like you can't penetrate into Facebook from Google, right? You can't search within what's in Facebook using Google, which is a better search engine.
That's right. You can't. But you got to use the actual search engine within Facebook itself. So you,
Yeah.
you type, and it does
Yeah.
bring some. But
That's because I think that's quietly deleting stuff
the
as it
conversations
gets old.
Yeah, but the conversations aren't as detailed into how I did a certain thing and step by step sort of posting of
And it always
pictures
ends
over a
up
period
with
of a
someone
month.
having a go at someone else.
Yeah,
and it
of
blows
course,
into
there's
a big
always that.
fight, and then someone gets booted off the site for.
Didn't that happen with
30
the
days.
forums as well, though?
Yeah, it
that's
did.
true.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah. Welcome to modern society.
Yes. Me.
All right. Next up, we've got that's the end of the mailbag, which is, as I said, rather full. And again, as I mentioned before, if you want to send an email to Paul Pendleton Brown, on the
Poor
bench
guy.
64.
We'll throw him under the bus.
On the bench 64 at gmail.com. We love hearing from you and love reading out what you got to say. New stuff. Falcon's written in, but before we actually talk about the Falcon, we got a fantastic item in the mail.
Yes.
Which came from Luftrum 72, which is our good mate Chris Sieber, and he's got a new magazine which has come out called Super Detailing the F-14 Tomcat.
I better get a photo of that.
And oh my goodness, I had a look at it, and it is absolutely superb. It is fantastic. We always call it a book. It's one of those
Yeah.
sort of
Soft cover book.
soft cover book. The level of detail in it, the pictures are gorgeous. The descriptions of how he actually does stuff in there is sensational, very well laid out. And what I love about it too, it's done without sort of the backing of a particular brand of paint. So he uses all these different paints and everything, which I'd say I've got that one in my drawer, I've got that one in my drawer.
It's published by a Japanese.
It is
company.
It is,
and so everything in it is English and Japanese alongside each other.
Yep.
And it's very much done in the sort of Japanese style where it's not enough for them to just simply, here's the model and here's how I did it and here's what it looks like. No, this thing goes through everything and dots every I, crosses every T. It's even got a list of materials and products at the back.
I thought that was really clever. It was a really good idea.
Every single tool that he used and what he prefers to use.
Is that all Chris's work, is it?
I at least think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And there's a couple of little Easter eggs in there with about 4 or 5 different little sub-stories of other models that get built as well.
Yep.
Which is really super cool.
It's an amazing magazine.
Yeah.
Book/magazine. Well done, Chris.
Available through HobbyLink Japan or Hobby Search. The RSP is about $33 US. So get along and have a look at that. It's fantastic and well done, mate. It's a great effort for your first book/magazine.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
It does.
It's stunning to look at. Brilliant photography, and his molding skills are top notch.
And while we're on the subject of new stuff, there's a new title from our good mate Kevin at KLP Publishing. Just wanted to let you guys know that we've just released the latest ebook title from KLP Publishing, which is entitled "Building the Wingnut Wings." P false D
false.
I said P false.
It's the P silent.
Okay.
False.
The false D. Dot 3A in 32nd scale, and it's being built by Gary Boxall. Now, the book is 361 pages and contains 3 builds and is worth every cent of the measly $20 that we're charging
I'll
for
have to
it.
grab that because I've got one of those in my collection.
So get yourself along, and don't forget also these are sort of live books as well, these ebooks. So
so they always get updated and
yes,
and they're amazing books.
And once you've actually purchased it, you can if something gets changed in it, you can automatically access it. And
Correct.
Get the update yourself. So go and check that out.
Definitely,
which is pretty darn cool. We've got some news from the Falcon.
Ooh.
Let's have a read through this one, which is not as long as I expected. But anyway, hello, Dave, Ian and Julian. What's happened over the last fortnight? Well, Airfix made a bit of a song and dance about announcing their new kit. I thought it was going to be a 1/350 scale Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier, says the Falcon, but no. It was a 1/48 scale helicopter, a Westland Sea King. The HAS.1, HAS.5 and the HU.5. There will be 3 marking options, all the same airframe at various points in its service. Airfix had earlier announced they would be re-releasing their 48 scale Supermarine Seafire Mark 17. The kit is now available for purchase at the Airfix website. What did you guys think about the news of the Westland?
Did there used to be a Westland Sea King
Hasegawa
from
Hasegawa? Hasegawa used to do one, but it's like as rare as rocking horse doo-doo.
Yeah.
Right. So,
like their Skyhawks.
I'm going to take this opportunity to applaud Airfix for a change.
Yes.
Because I want more model companies to be scooping up Hasegawa's former market share.
Oh.
Like I said,
if they're neglecting their market share, why not?
Exactly. I mean, if they're not making enough kits to satisfy everybody, then someone else should fill that void.
Yeah, like most of us Westerners don't want to buy kits of ramen noodles. Or scrunched up balls
of paper. We were going to do that for a group build in Canberra, I think.
Seriously?
Yeah, but somebody does.
Yeah. Hasegawa does.
Have you seen the sushi one?
Yeah.
It does. So the rice part of the sushi, right? They actually come as individual grains.
Oh, how stupid.
Detailed.
How stupid.
You should see. Like, you just get like sprues and sprues and sprues of individual pieces of rice.
I thought the Sea King was good though. Is that this big kit though?
Yeah,
That's
Sea
gonna be
King's
huge.
It's a big chopper.
But they do fold the blades back on it, so it shouldn't be take
You know
up
what?
too much real estate.
And I'd like to echo what Julian said as well, because you can quite easily build a Royal Australian Navy version out of this one as well without too much sort of work.
Yeah.
So-
Some people are complaining about the kit though.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. They talk about the rivets are too pronounced. And
No, it's not that the rivets are too pronounced. It's they're complaining that the rivets are recessed
Yeah.
instead of because
Yeah,
choppers have
yeah.
domed rivets.
yeah,
Right, because there's more strength and they don't need the
The airflow as much as normal fixed wing aircraft.
yeah, that's right.
Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
I guess.
Congratulations, Airfix. I reckon that's an awesome release. Although it should have been the Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier, but anyway. I'm going to bang that drum for as long as this is my podcast. P40 fans were glad to hear that Edward's P40 project is at an advanced stage.
Yay!
They're currently comparing their CAD work to a real P40 somewhere in Texas to make sure they've got everything right. Edward Supremo Vlad Sulik recently stated on their model forum, quote, "We are going to do the series in turn, starting with the P40E and going through all the subvariants up to the F/L, then back to the P40B/C and their British variants," end quote. Scale wasn't mentioned, but 48 scale seems to be a safe bet.
So they're not going to do the M.
Well, apparently not.
Oh, that's a shame.
Edward's new boxing of their 48 scale Grumman Wildcat has just been released. The Grumman FM2 Wildcat will feature 10 decal options, 9 of which are Wildcats operated by the US Navy. Camo schemes cover overall glossy sea blue, grey over white Atlantic scheme and mid to late war tricolour scheme. The 10th option is for a Royal Navy martlet wearing the temperate sea scheme camo. Of course, this is all being released as we speak at the
Yeah, well, I saw the
Nats
photo of our good mate
in San Antonio.
our good mate Jensen.
Yeah.
He already had his pile of Edward.
He won't learn, will he?
No.
His Majesty's Customs Service is going to love him.
Again,
Welcome back
yeah.
to the country again.
Do you know if he's actually built any of the ones he bought
I don't know.
at the last?
Doubtful.
I don't know.
Doubtful.
Don't know.
We'd have to ask him.
Like specifically the wild, because he bought several Wildcats at the last show, right?
Yeah, but a lot of those are for other
He
people.
bought a heap.
Oh, right. I get you. Well, hopefully he's built one for himself.
Not done with Edward. Their much anticipated 48 scale BF109K will be available in September. The Messerschmitt BF109K-4
Go on.
The Kerfist.
Kerfist is a limited edition boxing. It will also contain 10 marking options.
That'd be probably for the whole 10 that they have actually built.
Armour Hobby have previewed a second boxing of their 48 scale Hurricane. The new version is the Hawker Hurricane Mark IIC Tropical. There will be 3 marking options. An RAF example operated out of Egypt in 42-43. South African Air Force machine also in Egypt for the same time period. And an RAF Southeast Asia Command aircraft based in India, Burma Theatre.
That sounds interesting.
Trumpeter will release their 148 scale MIL Mi-17 HIP H helicopter in October. As well as a plastic, the kit includes small PE fret and canopy masks. Trumpeter are usually quite miserly with their decal options, but this kit will include the markings for 6 aircraft. They are decals for the air forces of Russia, China, Hungary, India, Poland, and Ukraine. Italy have released their 32nd scale Macchi MC202 Flogger.
Folgore.
Folgore.
Well, he hasn't written it the way it's actually spelled. He's written it the way you would say it.
Phonetically.
The kit only provides decals for late series aircraft, but there are parts for the first series aircraft on the sprues, so we can hope for further boxings down the line. Now, this one, Litaki?
Litaki.
Litaki, a new company, model company from, where else? Ukraine. Have announced they are working on a 72nd scale kit of their Solo J-22 Orano attack aircraft. CAD renders look well advanced, and it is confirmed that the kit will be injected styrene. Lataki have some ambitious plans. They're hoping to produce kits of the MI-14, the AN-70, the IRA-99, and both the Galeb and the Super Galeb. I've got no idea what those are.
Oh, the IAR, that's a Romanian aircraft. That's a Romanian company.
I'll have to Google what the Galeb is.
That sounds like a helicopter.
Let's move on to the military stuff. This will bring a smile to Clayton's face.
This is the important stuff here, right here. Everyone listen up.
Miniart have shown the 5 decal options of their forthcoming 35th scale G527 250-gallon water trailer, the Water Buffalo. There are 4 overall olive drab examples from various locales, and one far more colourful type in yellow with red signage, operated by the US Military Air Transport Service in Hawaii. Yeah, I saw this on the modelling news, and I thought,
Clearly someone's building them, though.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
these support vehicles and whatnot. I mean, great for dioramas and whatnot, but yeah.
well, they're getting sold, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Trumpeter's 2 135th scale releases for September. The German 8.8 centimetre Flak 41 anti-aircraft, and the Schwer
Zugkraftwagen.
Thank you. 18-ton version with the 8.8 centimetre flak gun on it as well. Hobby Boss releases for September include 48 scale Panzer 4 OS F2, a 135th scale US T-34 heavy tank. What? Dude, how can the US...
No. It doesn't have a dash.
Yeah.
So the Russian tank has a T-34.
Yeah, this is T-34.
Whereas
okay.
when the Americans put teeth in front of at the start of a name of a tank, it means it's like an experimental kind of a thing, like a prototype or whatever.
In 35th scale, a German Jagdpanzer 3/4, which is going to be the Lang E, and a 1/16 scale Tiger 1 early production. The kit contains over 800 plastic parts, single link tracks, photo etch grills, and several bags of screws. And there will be 6 marking options. Clayton, over to you. Quick question without notice. 1/16 scale armour, which has been prolific in the last couple of years. What are your thoughts?
Not for me.
Too big?
It's too big to display. I think it's just too time consuming for me. Look, I get it. I get that people might be attracted to that scale. But it's just not for me. Yeah,
Yep.
like TACOM were releasing those little tankettes, those little Japanese tankettes, a few years ago.
Yes.
I was kind of tempted, but I just look when
I've got one of those. I've got one of those in 1/35th scale, and the thing is tiny.
Oh, look, I know, but it's just like I've got so many 35th scale things in the kit in the display case, and I just don't want to just complicate things.
So you prefer to? Well, you're not a constant scale purist. You do 72nd
absolutely
scale.
not. Definitely not. And I'm not. Look, I'm not an armor purist either. That's just my passion, if you like. So I will build aircraft and things like that. But 16th scale, it's just not for me.
Yep.
It's a lot of space to justify when you consider that most of that detail you can get into 35th scale if you want to.
Yeah, and I like to keep moving with my building as well. And I feel like if I was to go to like a 16th scale kit, I think that would just slow everything down.
Get mired down.
Yeah, it's and I can see what's coming up down here, which in the stuff that you has been released. It's exciting. It's an exciting time for armor modelers because if you've got the choice, and a lot of people love that 16th scale.
And you're right, because just further down, so Handy's Hobby HQ can be releasing 2 1/16 scale M10 tank destroyers, the US M10 with the wedge-shaped turret, and the counterweights, and the British M10 Achilles with a 17-pounder. So both those kits come with a single crew figure. And Andy's Hobbies HQ has been doing a fantastic job with these 1/16 scale stuff, and they're just flying off the shelves. So there's definitely a huge demand for it out there.
Definitely. I guess, look, people are looking for, something different, and there's only so many times you can release a Panther or a Tiger and, whatnot.
Yes.
So I guess it's just, look. You know
what? I reckon they should come with like a little rubber seal where the turret goes on so that you can double them as a cookie jar.
All right, moving on. Gecko Models to release a 1/35th scale kit of the US Heavy Type 2, which is the M400T pallet forklift. The track loader is fitted with the optional forks attached to the lifting arms, and the kit also contains a gabion sitting on a pallet. Coming soon from Das Works is a 1/35 scale German 8.8 centimetre flat K off Vomag 9-ton truck. I'm assuming that is a 9-ton truck? Yes.
It's actually a bus chassis, I think you'll find.
No, please educate yourself.
I think they made about 20 of these things, and it was a bus chassis back in the day, and they mounted an 88 millimeter anti-aircraft gun on the back of them. I'm so excited about this release.
Really?
Yeah. Have you seen it? Do you know what it looks like?
I have seen a picture of it. Yeah,
I imagine it looks like a bus chassis with a gun on it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you nailed it the first time, right?
And there was a couple of them that came like with really interesting camo schemes as well. I've got the Rodin Models 72nd scale version of this vehicle, and it's always been the next in the queue to be built, and keeps getting knocked down the line. And I saw them. This was announced over at Nationals, and I was like, oh man, this is nuts! Like, it is cool, and it's going to be big. This thing was like over 10 meters long.
Impressive.
It's that's an exciting release for me.
Well, that's all from now from the Falcon, which is some really great. So thanks very much, Falcon, for writing in with all that stuff. We're going to take a very short break, and we're going to be back with a quick interview that I did with Chris Meddings just to catch up on what's happening over in Ukraine. And then we're going to come back and talk to Clayton about some of the stuff that he's been just building recently. So we'll be back very shortly. Whether you build aircraft, armour, ships, science fiction, cars or figures, the Fine Scale Modeler magazine provides the how-to information you need to take your modelling to the next level. In each issue of Fine Scale Modeler, you'll find clear how-to features on model assembly and finishing written by experts, reviews of the hottest model kits and products, tips and techniques for assembling, painting and finishing, as well as inspiring photos of readers' models. To find out how you can get your copy of Fine Scale Modeler, go to www.finescale.com. It's been quite some time since anybody's actually really spoken or dived deep into what's happening in Ukraine and the modelling world there, with one exception, and that's our good friend Chris Meddings, who actually has a podcast on modelers of Ukraine, and I've got him on the show now because it's sort of out of mind of a lot of people, and I've been curious what's been happening over there in the last sort of 6 months or 12 months or so. So I've got Chris on. G'day, Chris. How you going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Ukraine. Without sort of diving into what's happening, well, I mean, we're going to struggle to talk about this topic without sort of not talking about what's happening around there, and there are heaps of other podcasts and stuff like that, and I don't want to become a news service and such, but what's happening over there at the moment in regards to the modelling scene?
Well, I'll just start with saying really neither of us is probably qualified to talk about the war.
Sure.
But I can recommend two really good podcasts for anyone that wants to keep up with it currently. One is The Telegraph's Ukraine the Latest, and the other one is the BBC's Ukraine cast. Both of those are great. So if you want to know what's going on, the Telegraph one's really good on the military side, and Ukraine cast is very good on the sort of human side of talking to people affected by the war who aren't on the front line and stuff like that. So those are the ones to check out. What's happening on the model scene? The weird thing is, it's probably livelier than ever. There's loads of new companies coming out. Lots of new kits coming out all the time. I'm not sure if it's because they're working extra hard to make money for the economy of the war effort or what it is, but they're going great guns at the moment, really, really pumping them out. And really good kits too. I mean, from out of nowhere almost. We all knew Mini Art and ICM and stuff like that, the great kits. But like Dora wings, obviously they were around before the war, but they've just been coming out with some. I got the latest, the P47 148, and it's spectacular, really great. They've come a long way in the last 2 years for sure. Wingsy kits, fantastic kits. Probably closest analog to those is Edward. If you're used to Edward kits, then you can expect the same in a Wingsy box. Really great stuff. Lots going on.
It is a bit counterintuitive, isn't it? Where you got a country sort of almost, or is at war, and yet the companies. I mean, at the beginning they took a bit of a dip, but now they sort of, as you said, they're going great guns and producing more and more stuff, which is a good thing. I wonder if that's got a lot to do with the modelling community supporting them by actually going ahead and purchasing models that they know come from Ukraine.
I think so. Yeah. I think also. Something I've come to learn about Ukrainians, because I have a lot of friends over there now in the business, is that if something needs doing, they just get up and do it. They don't wait for someone to say you should do that, or sit around thinking, how can we make this better? They take whatever tools they've got, in which this case they've got a business that can produce money and produce, stuff to sell abroad, which obviously is important, exports and stuff like that. And they just get up and do it. I mean, a lot of them, they're obviously already into kits, producing kits, and these guys are modelers, like most small model companies and stuff like that, but they just they're going really great. Some of them their business has really taken a knock, and still, but because of the war and because of the global economic situation as well, they've been affected as much as anyone else. I think people are spending money in Ukraine, but not as much as you might think in models.
Yeah.
But then again, that's not because of the war. That's not because the kit's a certain standard or anything like that. It's purely because no one's got any money. Because we're in the middle of a global financial crisis, it seems, and everyone's finding it tough at the moment. So
yeah, that's true too. That's very true. You've actually got a podcast where you actually talk to some people who are behind the scenes in the modelling community over there. The name of that is
Models from Ukraine podcast.
That's been running for well over a year now.
No, just a year this month.
Just a year, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. How have you been going with being able to get people to sort of come on the show and talk? And obviously, it must be quite hard to sort of get hold of somebody over there from time to time.
Some people, it's tricky. The biggest barrier is language, and I just want to give. She won't be listening because she's not a modeler, but I want to give a big shout out to Olga Safroshkina. Her husband's a modeler, Stephen, so he might hear this. She's our translator. She was in the 90s. She grew up in Odessa in southern Ukraine, and in the 90s she was a journalist. She moved to Canada, and she's a professional translator. She speaks English, Russian and Ukrainian fluently. A lot of Ukrainians still speak Russian, particularly in the East. So a lot of the model manufacturers, we actually do the interviews in Russian.
Right, okay.
But she speaks all of them. She's fantastic, really great at almost instant translation, which makes it a bit tricky to edit, but it's fantastic because there are people that don't speak any English and we couldn't get them on otherwise, and you would never know, you'd never know what they're up to. But we've had Wingsy, Miniart, ICM, ResKit, Dora, lots of people on. It's been really good.
And you've just rattled a few names off there. I think people would be surprised if they actually sat down and listed what kits actually come out of Ukraine, because there's quite a lot of companies over there who are sort of still producing that. You go, oh, gee, they're Ukrainian, really?
Yeah, probably the earliest one people will remember, I'm not sure if they're even still going, was Skiff, that did some really pretty scary kits. They did a lot of Soviet era stuff, and it's that awful oily soapy green plastic, back in the bad old days. But now, people like, put it like this, I come up with a list of 45 companies.
45?
Including aftermarket and resin figures and stuff like that. But every time I put up the list, some Ukrainian angrily says, you forgot this company. So we keep adding more and more and more. But yeah, there's huge number of companies over there, and whatever you model, whether it's probably not so much ships. I think the only one that does ships over there is Micromer, whatever you want to say it. But other than that, aircraft, armor, figures, whatever you want, you'll find someone there that makes it.
And some incredible figure makers, not makers, makers, I guess is the best way to say
Yep,
it as well.
and sculptors.
Sculptors, that's the word I was looking for, thank you. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we lost one very, very talented sculptor April this year, which is Anton Derbolov, who was half of Serco Toys and had also done sculpts for Legendarian, for loads of different people. He did busts. He did. A lot of people might have 1/72 figures. I think there's a company. I think he did some for Strelets, which I think is a Ukrainian company. Like Wargaming 1/72 stuff, all kinds of stuff, but all hand sculpted, really phenomenal. But unfortunately, he was on the front line and he was killed in an attack.
Oh, geez, that's not good at all. Now, the other thing I want to mention, and I know that you perhaps won't be, because you're that sort of guy who would never say it, but you've also done your little bit to help Ukraine as well by producing 2 fantastic books called Models for Ukraine.
Yep.
And all the proceeds went to the humanitarian side of things. But you need to have be pat on the back for actually undertaking that and doing it in your own time. And it was just a fantastic effort. And you got some really good support from the modelling world in actually producing that. And not only that, you actually achieved what you wanted to achieve, was to help send some money over to the DEC Ukraine appeal, DEC Ukraine appeal, which was fantastic.
Yeah, the DEC Disaster Emergency Committee is a group of UK-based charities which share fundraising and administration, which reduce the costs then. You know, people often say, well, charities spend all the money on CEOs and stuff. By centralising it, they've reduced the amount they have to take to run it and can contribute more and contribute in lots of different ways. And a lot of big charities like British Red Cross are involved with it. They did a Ukraine appeal, and they're still doing it to help people displaced within the country or refugees and stuff. They've done things like build bomb shelters under schools and stuff so that kids can go to school, and then when there's an air raid, you know, take to the shelter, which is a horrific thing. Just think about that, sending your kids to school and knowing that at some point they'll probably have to get into a bomb shelter.
Well, it's a horrific thing to think about in the, year 2023, having to build bomb shelters in Europe, for God's sakes. Anyway.
Yeah. We raised 25,000 via those 2 books, but book 2 still available, and actually I've got quite a lot of them left. So if anyone wants one, do go over to insidethearmor.com and order one, please. All the profits except the transaction fees and the cost of printing it goes to the charity. I don't take anything at all. None of the authors took anything. I didn't even send them the models. It was their own models they built. They wrote up, they took the photos, which is, I mean, you've built models, I know it takes to build it, photographing it, writing it up as well. You're looking at probably 100 hours. And they gave it for free. So they're all really good guys, and I appreciate it hugely. But there's some great talent in there as well. So really, like Calvin Tan, famous figure painter, Jose Brito. There's some really great people in there. So go on, whatever you like.
It was a great initiative, and you need to be congratulated for actually, kicking that off and doing that as well. So I didn't see too many other people standing up and doing it. So that was really well done, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
No worries at all. So how else can perhaps we help our friends in Ukraine? Well, one of the things I can think of certainly is to buy models from Ukrainian model companies as a start.
Yeah. I mean, how can you go wrong? You get a great model kit.
Yes.
And the money goes to help them. So, it's win-win, basically.
Yep. And not only that, you generally get like a little sticker or something coming back from the company as well with the little flag on it. They have
really great stamps as well. Like when you get the box, there's usually a stamp on it with Patron, the bomb-sniffing dog or something on it. And
Absolutely.
Now, it does take a little bit longer than it used to get your kit. The reason for that is that there's no airmail leaving Ukraine because obviously it's the risk of the planes being shot down and stuff. So what they tend to do is they put them on trains, send them to Poland, and from Poland it gets on the plane. But that means there's usually a backlog because there's only so many train lines, and they've got other things to export, like grain and stuff like that.
Yes.
So sometimes if there's a delay, what it is it's sat in a depot in Kyiv or something, waiting to get on the train. But usually 4 weeks, something like that, and you get it. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I mean, I've bought aftermarket. It takes longer than that. From the UK to UK, And I've always got it every time you get it. So
And of course, the other way you can support is by purchasing Models for Ukraine Volume 2, as you mentioned earlier on.
Yep.
And already mentioned those funds go to DEC Ukraine Appeal, which is fantastic.
Also, every episode, I should say, of Models from Ukraine podcast, we have a different charity or cause you can support. We've featured Sign My Rocket, where you can donate to write a message on an artillery shell to send over to the Russians. We've had
What a fantastic
the money.
idea.
The money doesn't actually buy the artillery shell, I should say. The kind of donations you can make is like $100, $200. You're not going to be able to buy a 155 millimeter artillery shell for that. What you're buying, what they use the money for, is they buy 4x4 vehicles for frontline units, and what the units use it for is for moving stuff around, ammunition or food or what have you between posts, but also their makeshift ambulances. So when someone's injured, they chuck them in that and take them back to an aid post.
Yeah.
And they get them out quickly, and it saves lives. So, although you might think, haha, I'm sending a bomb at the Russians, what you're really doing is saving someone's life potentially. So it's definitely worth it. We also support friends over there who are collecting for, bulletproof vests, or in the winter they were collecting for underwear, fresh warm underwear for the frontline troops and stuff like that. So, and also bigger charities like Canadian medical assistance teams who do first aid work over there and hospital work over there. So every week there's a charity recommended on there. Or alternatively, just look up Ukraine Aid in your country and support a charity in your country that you like the look of. But just whatever you can, even if it's just $5, it makes a big difference.
And buy a model kit. That's another way of doing it as well. Get some hard currency into their country. Absolutely.
Yep. Even if you don't need a kit, you can get some fantastic resin upgrades from someone like ResKit.
Exactly right. Right. Mate, thanks very much. It's been wonderful having you on the show, just giving us a bit of a brief as to what's happening over there at the moment. We can only hope and pray that we're not here again next year sort of talking about this sort of thing again. We'll just have to see how things develop. Certainly beyond my powers to sort of do anything, but we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Chris, thanks very much for being on the show. Any parting words?
No, just thank you for having me. Thank you for supporting the books, my podcast, and everything else you do. I really do appreciate it. And thanks to everyone that listens. You can find the podcast on all the major podcast apps, just like you do On the Bench. After you've listened to On the Bench, then have a listen to Models from Ukraine.
Or perhaps even slip in the Spree Cutters Union in there as well.
No, that's rubbish. Don't listen to that one. Will's going to kill me. Tracy won't care.
All right, mate. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, mate.
No worries.
Yep.
So it's a great little chat and update from Chris about what's happening in Ukraine, and also Chris forgot to add that he's going to be sponsoring an award at the Scale Model Challenge for the best model of a Ukraine subject. And again, Chris Meddings needs to be applauded for all the work he's done in supporting Ukraine.
Definitely.
With, the magazines and the books that he's produced. It's he's really put his mouth where his money is and where his heart is, and he's done a fantastic job.
Awesome.
All right. Bringing this on home, we're going to have a talk about the Custer, but before we do that, did you have something that...
I'm all about, personal growth, right, and helping people become, their better selves. So I thought I'd bring some gifts for you guys.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. It's getting dangerous.
I thought it might have been a bit of fun. So... So I'll start with Julian, and I heard it was your 32nd birthday today. So I've got this happy birthday. What's not your birthday?
Not my 32nd birthday either.
Well, yeah. So you'll have to forgive the wrapping, but it's all I had. So
right.
So that's your gift.
Okay.
Julian.
Am I supposed to open this on the spot?
Please open it.
So
I'm deeply concerned with your obsession with auto modelling, Julian.
Okay.
So I thought this might be a nice gateway from the auto modelling into the the world of armour. Now I know you've built a little bit of armour in the past, but I thought this might help encourage you.
I've built plenty of armour.
Well, look, it's just the impression I've got from listening to the podcast that you're the
Well, let me have you give you a better impression.
So what'd you get, Julian?
So what was in the gift?
Okay.
What was in the wrapper?
So it's a Bushmaster.
Oh, cool.
A 72nd scale dragon kit. What's it like as a kit? Because you always see this on shelves around here in Australia, at least.
Look, it's all right. It is what it is. I've given you that one. I've actually made a mask set for that. I made it for Scott at SMS. If so that's in there to do the little digi camo thing on the wheel cover.
Handy. Oh, that's
so
handy.
that's
Very cool.
very
So
cool.
I did that. So there you go. So I'm trying to encourage you to come back to build more armor, Julius. So there we go.
Good score, mate.
All right.
If only I
Dave.
knew this was coming, I would have given you a car kit just to,
Even it out.
That's cruel, mate.
to give us as good as I got.
So Dave, here's your one.
Oh, it's a small one.
Oh, Dave's got a little
How
package.
come I get the little packages?
Well,
His was
okay.
bigger than
So
mine.
I've been deeply concerned with your obsession with factory fresh. Factory fresh is not where it's at. So I've got a couple of weathering products for you. A little bit of a wash there.
So what I've got is an AK wash for German dark yellow and an AK pigment dark steel.
So that dark steel is incredible for gun barrels and things like that. Polishing with your fingertips. So
good.
so I need to get you to move away from factory fresh.
Sure.
We need to start flinging some mud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. now my final gift for you, Ian,
Oh, okay.
is something a little different. Now, there's been a lot of talk about our karaoke time, right? For Canberra.
Yes.
And given your obsession with Iron Maiden and, Megadeth and all those business, Ian,
The best of Frank Sinatra.
I'm deeply concerned that once we start singing karaoke, and if you were going to stick with that metal genre, your voice is going to run out quick, right?
Oh,
All
definitely.
that growling, screaming. So I think you've probably got one or two songs at best. So I'm trying to encourage you to learn some Sinatra. I don't want to carry you guys. I don't want to carry you guys at the karaoke room. All right. I will if I have to. But, so there's a couple of tunes there you can learn. It'll be a little bit kinder on your voice. And,
Jack the Knife. That'd be a good song for you.
Except I don't think that's Sinatra.
Oh, well. Sinatra did sing Jack the Knife.
He did.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Oh, yeah. It's got some little stuff on there I know.
Anyway, just a bit of fun.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. That was very,
it's
very,
all right.
Actually,
funny.
you're wrong.
Thank you very much.
It does have Mac the Knife.
Oh,
Yeah,
does it?
I know.
Dave was talking about Jack the Knife, I think.
Jack
yeah.
the Knife.
it's a different song, yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
there
that's
we go.
cool. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate
very
it.
much.
That's all right.
I got a kit out of it.
Well, you got two kits this week. You got that and the
Yeah, they're both
Moosaroo.
70-second skull armor.
There you go.
Sort
Well,
of,
sort of.
technically.
Well, they did send those Bushmasters to Ukraine, so perhaps you could pair the two together.
Oh,
There you go.
there's
The
a thought.
Ukraine ones are just all in one green color.
Yeah,
aren't
they are.
Yeah.
Yep,
Well,
yep.
that's all right. Just a colour. Yeah.
Just giving him some
They're all,
ideas.
they're all burnt out on the side of the road too, I think, aren't they?
No.
The Bushmasters?
No. It's a couple, but not too many. Okay, so what I want to do is just bring this home is dive into the Custer, which Clayton has been building recently for the modelling news. And I'm really interested in this kit because generally anything from this genre costs megabucks. And this is a dual kit with two kits into one box. And they're saying that the price is around $41 US. Normally, just to see a model, one of the Machine Krieger models, you're paying in excess of $100 or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because the people who make them are Hasegawa, who are overpriced in this country, and Wave, I believe,
Yeah.
right? And
yes.
Wave is super rare. Like they don't distribute here really.
Yeah, you just have to be mindful though. This is 35th scale; it's not 1/20th. So
True.
the bulk of those Machine and Krieger kits are
Yeah,
1/20th.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
big. They're
Except they
big.
do a nut rocker in 135th, and that's huge.
Yeah, they do, and 1/76, I think.
Yeah,
they might have done.
yeah.
Some odd sort of scale.
So this is a Panzer. I'm not even going to
Yeah,
try
don't bother.
that.
Don't bother.
You can
Yeah.
have a crack at it, Ian.
Aufklärungs TW47-N2 Stahl Demokratisch.
So they're the bad
Republic.
guys, I
Yes.
believe. The SDR.
They're the post-apocalyptic nasties.
Yeah, 2807. I think this is set in.
Something
it was
like that, yeah.
a series of illustrated stories back in the early 80s.
Yes, by what's that cow?
Koi Yokoyama.
Yes.
But I'm sure I've butchered his name, so I do make reference to that in the video. So apologies.
So there's two kits in this box, and they're both colour kits.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is they've kind of
it brings you back to the memories of Matchbox.
they've kind of geared this up to the collector. They know their market because they know a lot of these guys stockpile these things, right? So they've released this kit, but there's two colour combos. So the kit I've got here is green and tan, and I think they do like a grey and like a sky blue colour. Identical kit, just the different colour. And it's obviously because, you know, the suckers like me would probably need to get one of each boxing, you know. But, you know, it's a little bit cheeky, I guess. But, yeah.
And how did you find the kit when you first initially opened it?
Look, like I said, I'm a bit of a sucker for these things, so I was always going to add it to the stash. But I was actually really disappointed when I first looked at it. It just looked very clunky, very toy-like. You know, the connection points on the sprues just looked heavy. Yeah, I was a little bit bummed, actually, to be honest, and I wasn't going to build it for the review, but I had the feeling that I probably should build it just for the sake of a decent review.
Yes.
And yeah, wow, it sort of blew me away. Like there's each assembly has 4 sprues, so there's 8 sprues in the box. But
right.
Yeah, the way the parts work together. I mean, we're just looking at some of the detail shots on the screen now. They just look overly simplified and a little bit toy-like, but the way that the parts all work together and integrate, it's quite extraordinary. Just to make a visually busy model, it's quite extraordinary. Yeah.
Oh, it would be. Yeah, definitely.
Like you see, the engine assembly just looks like a bit toy-like, right? And but you know, and the way that the parts come together and where they've put seams and things is really thoughtful. And yeah, and just all the parts working together produce this.
It looks like quality molding. Because I mean, that's the kind of shots that are being shown are things like the ribbed hoses and springs, and those are usually the sticking points for where a badly molded kit will fall over.
Yeah, I guess so. Look, these MAK kits usually come with springs or plastic tubes and things, where this is all molded. So I sort of worked out pretty early on there was going to be no articulation in the legs, which is kind of a bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
But that's probably the only downside I can think of this kit. But yeah,
well, it does make it more stable because these 2-legged things are usually a bit sort of balanced.
Yeah, I just think it would have been really nice to pose it, sort of perched on the side or, whatever. But it's, really impressive little kit.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean because, it'd be really cool since you get 2 and you could make a small diorama of like a, small squad kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a really interesting little kit, and I suspected it would take me about half an hour to sort of throw it together. You get that impression, when you look at parts in the box, it'll take you sort of half an hour to throw it together.
What gets me about, especially these older, because this is basically just a remake of the old Nitto kit.
Yeah, this is a whole new one.
Yeah, but it's based off the old Nitto kit.
Shapes.
And what I always enjoyed about those old Nitto kits was you looked at the kit and then you spent the next half hour trying to decipher
reverse engineering it.
Yeah, where this bit came. Oh, isn't that a Panzer engine cover, or isn't that like a P-38 fuselage? Or
well, yeah, I mean, like this kit and the Nitto kit and the Hasegawa kits, they're all depictions of kit bashes. Made by the guy, right? Yokoyama Sensei, as they say.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Not my sensei, but somebody's.
Yes.
It's like, I mean, see, you get the feel, like the way the parts integrate together to just create this visual noise.
Yes,
is quite extraordinary. Yeah, it's an interesting little kit, and surprising. Like I said, I thought it was going to be a 30-minute build. I think it took me about 3 hours from start to finish. I mean, there's a lot of clean up and and
they're very the very busy sort of stuff generally has a lot of cleanup, doesn't it?
Yeah, and obviously I should have done a little bit of filling of seams and things, but this was really just for a build review.
Yeah.
So this one's just gone up on the modelling news on Friday, and obviously I've got the video to accompany that. He embeds them down in the bottom of the article.
Yep.
Yeah, lovely little kit. I mean, it's actually a reasonable sized model as well. It probably sits maybe, 200 mil high.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a little dinky 35th scale, machine. It presents nicely. So yeah, anyone interested in the Machine and Krieger universe, this is a really interesting way to dip your toe.
Yeah, and especially being in 1/35th scale too, which means you can.
I think 1/35th scale makes it more appealing.
Yeah, because then you can like add bits and like cross reference with other standard 1/35th
Well, I think it can. The fact that you could just pull from the entire like 35th scale
Definitely.
armor type stuff, and then bring all of those sort of elements into it. Things like 35th scale vending machines and other sort of things you can put on a diorama base to add to the whole thing.
Yes.
Well, I guess that's the beauty of this range is you're not confined to following references and things. You can do whatever you like.
Yeah.
Which can be a blessing, but it can be a little bit of a curse as well. I think I shared with you guys in Canberra. What the melasine I built in 1/20th scale. Come time to paint, it was like, what the heck am I going to do now?
Yeah. Then you're stuck for what scheme you want to go with.
Yeah. Go around in circles. But I mean, they're just awesome. They're just awesome to get your mojo back and. I'm so glad I built it though because I'd really judged it pretty hard in the box to be honest, and
but it came out and surprised you in the end.
And a good way, I guess, for people to dip their toes in the Machine Krieger without lashing out a huge amount of money in the first instance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the two kits in the box is an attractive thing as well. But look, there will be a little bit of filling, a little bit of sanding. Do your weld lines, put a few lead wire lines in there and whatnot. But what a sweet little model. That's for sure.
It does look quite nice.
Yeah.
I could even be tempted to purchase one of them. Although not available in Australia, so you have to go through Japan to pick them up. I think from memory. Is that right?
Oh, I'm not sure. I was given this one from the Modelling News.
Oh, of course. Yeah, there we go.
Hobbylink Japan.
Hobbylink Japan. There you go. Well, that's easy. I've bought through them before, so. They're pretty easy to
deal they're with. Very easy to deal with.
I think it can at least with the Hasegawa kits it was usually the thing that you would sort of buy from them because obviously there's more of that in Japan than there is being brought out here. The prices ended up actually being okay with the shipping because you would think that shipping from Japan is gonna hit you in the pocket and it's pretty expensive, but just because it's Japanese pricing over Australian pricing, that you actually still can come out ahead, or at least not too bad off.
Yep. Very cool. All right, well, let's wrap it up. So it's been fantastic having you here, Clayton.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to sort of track you down, where can they find you?
Well, the YouTube channel is Workbench Hobbies. If you type that in, you should be able to find me easy enough. And the Facebook presence, Workbench Hobbies, and the website, workbenchhobbies.com. The website is probably a little sadder than it should be. I've kind of been neglecting that a little bit. But look, that's a plan to get that up and functioning properly so people can buy mask sets and things like that. That little Berlin Brigade Chieftain, like I do a mask set for that, the 72nd scale one, and I do it in 35th scale as well. And I'm building this Leopard 2 as part of this Corner Cutters group build, that Pete mentioned last time to talk about the Leopard 2. Yeah. And anyway, so I'm going to do a Digi camo for that as well. So if anyone's interested in upgrading their Leopard 2 to have that, Digi urban camo, I'll be doing one of those.
And of course you are on the Facebook as well, aren't you?
Facebook, Workbench Hobbies. I try to post on there, as much as I can. It's just, time gets away.
No, tell us about it.
Time gets away.
Tell us about it.
He just did, Dave.
Yeah.
Ian.
That's it. We're done.
Julian.
Yeah, I've got a lot of work ahead of me.
You do.
I got to go home and spray some chrome.
You go home and think about how you're going to do the Mushuru Cup.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
And
I've got through to March to get it done.
You do, and don't forget to share your build on the Facebook page.
Yes. The
Mushuru Cup.
Mushuru Cup, yes. I will be doing that as soon as I figure out what I'm going to do with it.
There you go.
And then I've got a Bushmaster.
Yes, which you're going to build. Very cool.
Yes.
Thank
Gents-
you very much for the
Yes.
That's my pleasure.
Thanks for the CD, dude.
No obligation. 1, to listen to the CD. 2, to build it, and 3, to even use those weathering products that Dave.
Oh, I'll be using the one of them at least I know straight away, which
Yeah.
is the dark steel.
Oh, that's a wonder pigment. That one that works for so many things.
Oh, definitely.
Mate, it's been great to see you. We're going to catch up with you in Canberra. So
I can't wait. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
We'll be
very
up there on the
excited.
11th and the 12th, and at the Canberra Scale ACT, and no doubt getting up to trouble on the night of the 11th somewhere in Canberra. No doubt.
Sounds
some
good.
pub or
Yeah,
something.
I've been practicing. A few runs, vocal runs.
Awesome.
Oh, jeez. I don't
That'd be
think there's gonna
great.
be any singing. All right, guys, thanks very much. And we'll be back. Actually, next episode, we've got a fantastic episode coming up. We have got 2 wonderful female Gundam builders who are coming on the show in a fortnight's time. And they're going to be talking to us all about what Gundam is, how it fits into mecha, if it does fit into mecha, what gunplay is and what that is, and a whole host and
So a big eye opener.
big eye opener. A couple of fantastic, very talented young Aussie girls. So very excited to have them on the show, and it should be a really great discussion. So don't forget to tune in for that. And of course, as I said, you can find us on Facebook. Don't forget our other Facebook page that we have, which is On Your Bench, where you guys can go and put all your fantastic stuff.
And there's some stellar stuff on there.
There is some cracking stuff on there, yeah, for sure. And a big shout out to all of our listeners who are actually at the US Nationals as we record this.
We're so jealous.
Hoping you have a fantastic time and safe travels home from that show. We'll be back in a fortnight. See you then.